If you look at a map of the 8th century world, all roads of commerce and intellect eventually lead here, the round city of Baghdad. As the capital of the Abbasid Caliphate, it held wealth and resources that dwarfed almost every other empire on earth. According to popular history, at the absolute center of this wealth sat a magnificent state-run academy known as the House of Wisdom, or Bayt al-Hikmah. The story usually paints a highly romantic picture: Muslim and Christian scholars sitting shoulder to shoulder in grand, echoing halls, translating the works of Aristotle, Plato, and Ptolemy from ancient Greek into Arabic. We are taught this narrative in schools worldwide. It stands as the definitive symbol of the Islamic Golden Age, a centralized hub where the state single-handedly rescued ancient science from the Dark Ages. There is a slight problem with this incredibly famous story. When modern historians audit the actual records from the period, they find that this grand Greek-translating super academy never existed. Look closely at the surviving textual evidence. As this historical analysis points out, the Greco-Arabic translation movement had absolutely zero connection to the activities of the Bayt al-Hikmah. Even the most prolific Christian translators of the era left no record of it. Hunayn ibn Ishaq, a scholar who wrote extensively about his desperate, continent-spanning hunts for rare Greek manuscripts, never mentions looking for them in the House of Wisdom. This leaves us with a massive historical blind spot. If the House of Wisdom wasn't responsible for translating the Greeks, what exactly was it doing? And who actually rescued all this ancient science? The historical Bayt al-Hikmah was real, but it was modest. It was essentially a specialized bureaucratic archive, created by the early Abbasid Caliphs to store administrative documents. Its design didn't draw from ancient Greek academies. The Abbasids modeled their empire on the administrative traditions of the Persians they had recently conquered. Because of this, the clerks working in the House of Wisdom had a very specific job. They translated Persian history, Persian statecraft, and Persian cultural texts into Arabic. This was a practical necessity to help govern a sprawling new territory. Think of it as a Sustanian pipeline, a state project dedicated entirely to Persian administration, without a single Greek text or Christian scholar in sight. So, while the state successfully built an archive for Persian manuals, that small bureaucratic office fails to explain how complex Greek geometry, astronomy, and medicine suddenly flooded the Arabic-speaking world. Translating high-level secular Greek science requires an incredibly specific skill set. The empire needed scholars fluent in ancient Greek, who also understood the regional languages spoken across the Near East. The people who held those skills were the various Christian communities living within the empire, specifically sects like the Nestorians and Melkites. As you can see in this codex, they actively used Syriac and Greek in their daily liturgy and medical training. The real translation movement operated as a massive, decentralized free market. It functioned much like a highly lucrative 9th century gig economy. Wealthy private elites, military generals, successful merchants, and bankers paid vast fortunes out of their own pockets directly to independent Christian scholars. Translators like Hunayn ibn Ishaq became extremely wealthy contractors, operating entirely outside the state apparatus. The translation of Greek science thrived as an intensely competitive private industry, driven by an empire-wide demand for knowledge, completely bypassing royal mandates. Take a look at this medieval Arabic alchemy manuscript. It is direct visual proof of the subjects this private network brought to life. These independent teams successfully translated complex physics, advanced engineering, and precise medicine, permanently elevating Islamic science. Because they operated as independent contractors, these Christian linguists flourished. Their intellectual traditions wove seamlessly into the daily, practical fabric of the Islamic Empire. And because the funding came from so many different layers of society, science escaped the confines of an isolated academic bubble. It became a widespread cultural obsession. When you look at the raw historical data, an entire society voluntarily choosing to spend its private wealth on cross-cultural science is a far more impressive historical reality than a single caliph simply building a royal library. The Romantic myth gives us a neat, orderly building where everyone quietly translates under the watchful eye of the state. The reality gives us a chaotic, brilliant, and fiercely competitive free market of ideas. It teaches us that genuine cross-cultural collaboration and true intellectual golden ages cannot simply be manufactured by constructing a magnificent piece of architecture. Muslim and Christian collaboration thrived in the bustling, everyday economic reality of an empire that universally valued and paid dearly for knowledge, far beyond the walls of any single academy.